Alright, I'm gonna play Land Return, which will trigger my Rampaging Baloths. I will go ahead and make a 4/4 beast token. Okay, well, because you did that, my Soul Warder will trigger. I will gain 1 life, which will trigger my Amalia, and she will explore. Her power is 19, and I just cast a Enlightened Tutor on your turn. So I know for a fact the top card is a non-land. So I'm gonna explore. She'll go to 20 power and destroy all the creatures. Okay, on second thought, I'm actually not going to make a beast token then, because I really don't want to blow up the whole You can't do that! Why? Well, you see, we here at the Wizards decided to errata Rampaging Baloths text. Now, every time you play a land, you must create the 4/4 beast token. Literally, why would you do that? Who asked? Besides, what scenario could ever possibly come up where a player wouldn't want to make a 4/4 beast token for free? Right now. Literally right now. What are you talking about? No need to thank me. Thank you? Why would I thank you? I didn't ask you to do... We here at the WOTC Play Design team are a benevolent benefactor to your game. Okay, let me get this straight. So, you can't errata the original Innistrad werewolves to actually function on the same axis as the new ones with the day-night cycle mechanic. You can't make Nephilim legendary, even though those cards see no play anywhere, and all they would do is actually make 4-color more interesting, or at very least give you more commander options for 4-color. And you can't make it so all planeswalkers can be commanders, even though you made it so all legendary vehicles with power and toughness stats can be commanders. Precisely. Isn't that so convenient for you? So, for those of you who don't know, Wizards has actually gone back and errata Rampaging Baloths to make it so that now the landfall trigger is a mandatory effect. So now, whenever a land enters under control, you have to make the 4/4 beast token. I haven't really seen anyone discussing this, and I'm not really sure why, because I think this actually sets a very big precedent for the game. And I also just find it very strange and out of the blue. No one was asking Wizards to make it so that May triggers were changed to mandatory, and there also doesn't really seem to be a clear theme with this errata, because as far as I can tell, there are several other cards that are May triggers, and yet those didn't get changed. Emeria Angel. Whenever a land enters, may create a 1/1 white bird token with flying. Amzu's Forms Hunger. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you may create a 1/1 black and green insect token. Why is that not a must now? Awakening Zone. On your upkeep, you may make a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn token. Basking Brood Scale. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, you may make a spawn token. Again, why is that not a must? This change just seems very just random. Like, no one asked for this. Nobody was saying, oh dude, I can't stand that Rampaging Baloths is not a must create token trigger. Like, why? I don't like this change at all. I think it sets a really bad precedent, and the thing that actually matters just goes against what Wizards has said regarding their errata policy in the past. Wizards' policy regarding erratas has always been that they don't errata cards for the sake of power level, or errata cards in a way that changes the overall functionality of the card. And for the most part, this is true. For example, we had the Phyrexian creature types added to all of the Phyrexian creatures from New Phyrexia, Scars of Mirrodin, all those sets. But what's funny is that errata actually caused a significant nerf to a deck in a competitive format. In fact, you see, when Glistener Elf and Blighted Agent both got the Phyrexian creature type, a card called Plague Engineer became a much more powerful answer to the Infect deck in the modern format. Because now, what could happen is players who cast Plague Engineer could name Phyrexian as it entered, and now Infect's 2 most important creatures just died immediately the moment they hit the field. Now sure, the Phyrexian creature type errata didn't have any intentions like that in mind,
but it still happened. A errata that Wizards made still changed the function and interaction of these cards in a way that affected a competitive format, which is something they claim to not do. There was also the break in case of emergency scenario with companions. They literally had to change the rule of the companion mechanic because the mechanic was just too strong. Lo and behold, having a free 8th card in your deck is pretty strong. Wow! It used to be that you could just cast the companion from your sideboard. They had to change the rule to make it so now you gotta pay 3 mana to put the companion into your hand, and then you can cast it. And even after that change, like 3 of them still got banned in Modern. There was also the very recent scenario with diplomatic relations. It was supposed to be just another fight spell, but the card omitted the text to choose a creature you control to fight another opponent's creature. This could have been a 3 mana, essentially green murder, if your opponent had another creature, or really any player just had another creature that could kill said creature the player was intending to remove with the card. But of course, that got around day 1, because I really don't think green needs a version of murder in Commander. Wow, who'd have guessed? Now you might say, okay, alright, Bounce Man, that's not fair. That's not fair. Edging literally just came out. You can't get on them for not being able to print a up-to-date correct text version of a card just came out. You gotta give them a chance to actually have enough time to print a correct Oracle text version of the card. Alright, fine. You got me. Is what I would say if I didn't have another example. You fool! Please turn your attention to Blood Vial Purveyor. This is a vampire that, if the text is as written, would get +1/+0 forever for each blood token. Wizards always says that they always want to make sure their cards play as written. And yet, here's an example of a card that they have had multiple years to print with the updated correct Oracle text, and they haven't. And of course, the most recent change with Edging the Eternities, or maybe on the same time as the Manipulations card. Now, all legendary vehicles with a power and toughness can be your commander. Which is strange. I mean, I don't think I really saw anyone asking for certain vehicles to be legal as commanders. At least not that I've seen. If you were wishing you could play Isuka's Chariot in the command zone for years and your wish got granted, please let me know in the comments. It's a strange choice, but like, is it bad? Not really. I don't think Commander is worse off because I can play the last ride in the command zone, or Parhelion II, a infinitely worse 8-mana white card than Avacyn. All of these erratas / rule change with the vehicles have been good for the game. I don't think we'd be happy if green players in Commander got a weird version of murder to run in their decks. We wouldn't like that. I don't think we would like it if WOTC wouldn't have been able to make the Phyrexian Kindred archetype in Martian Machine. Can you imagine if we got Martian Machine and there was no emphasis on playing Phyrexians at all? That would suck. That would not be good. And that set would suck even more than it already did. Making Phyrexians its own actual creature type is good for the game. Nerfing the companion mechanic was good for the game. Day 1 errata in cards that admittedly should have just had the correct text in the first place to actually reflect the effect bars they were supposed to have is good for the game. Giving players more options for commanders is good for the game. But that doesn't mean that Wizards is free from criticism. The errata to Rampaging Baloths just seems like all downside, in my opinion. This change removes player of choice from the game, which is not good. It makes the 1 million other printings of the card incorrect, even though it's been like a pre-con staple in every green commander pre-con ever. And as I mentioned, it's just strange. It's not a thing players asked for. It's even stranger because Wizards was strangely, like, beating around the bush as to what the reasoning for the change was. In the article they released, the reasoning was, quote-unquote, 10 out of 10 players agree. more beasts are better than fewer beasts, especially when they are cute little beast tokens made by Rampaging Baloths. To ensure the maximum amount of beast friends, Rampaging Baloths has been updated to remove the "you may" from its ability. We know you want more beast tokens. What? What does that mean? You don't get more beast tokens by removing the may. You just made it so I have to make a token now. I can't miss the trigger, except you totally can, because if you play a land and forget to make the token, you still forgot, and there's a good chance the game already progressed past the point of making said beast token anyway? Now you might say, Bounce Man, you're overreacting. There is no need to make a video about a random errata to an old Commander Stable card. I disagree. Here are a few examples as to why you wouldn't want to make a 4/4 beast token. There is a Suture Priest on the field, and you are at a very low life total, and you actually do value that 1 point of life more than the 4/4 beast token, but you still want to make your land drop for the turn. There is a Soul Warden and a Amalia on the field, and Amalia is at 19 power. You playing a land and making a beast token would trigger the Soul Warden, which might set Amalia to 20 power, which will result in the field getting wiped, but you still want to make your land drop for the turn. There is a life gain deck at table in general, and you don't want to give the life gain player more life gain triggers for all of their Johnny's Pride mates and friends. There are several scenarios, albeit niche, that could come up where you actually wouldn't want to make the 4/4 beast token. And yet Wizards has done this change just cuz, I suppose. As I said, WOTC has made many erratas of the game that were good. The companion change, the Phyrexian creature type, and of course the day one erratas to make sure cards actually play the intended way it's supposed to. But why is it that when Wizards thinks of an errata to do, it's fine, but when the community, the people playing your game, making sure it actually makes you money, all en masse request a change that would have zero impact in competitive formats and would only make Commander just more fun, or at least more flexible in terms of cards you can play, then all of a sudden that's, oh no, we can't do that. That goes against our functional errata policy. We can't do that. For example, the Nephilim. People have wanted these things to be legal as commanders for years. It has been like one of the top requested things to ever happen, and for some reason, it just never has, even though it's been stated multiple times by WOTC members that the Nephilim were either supposed to be legendary, or they weren't, but should have been, given how the world of Magic has changed. Would making the Nephilim legendary have any kind of impact in competitive formats? No! No, it would not! It would just make it so 4-color commanders actually had more options besides Brea for Sans Green, or Saskia for Sans Blue. Werg doesn't really need more options because they have Omnath and Aragorn and all those choices. But still, it's more selection for them. And yes, I know Ink Treader exists and is like Zada on crack, and that's a little scary. And I agree, it is scary. But I mean, okay, just you can just ban cards or make it a game changer. Is this really that bad? Funnily enough, Gavin Verhey actually did make a video on this topic, but the reasons he gave for not doing it were strangely straw man. The reasoning he gives is that, like, if they were to change the Nephilim to legendary, then it calls into question every other creature in the game ever.
The moment we start handing out legendary status to the Nephilim, suddenly that calls into question every other creature ever printed. It's important to be consistent. After all, I would expect we would, like a creature type update, go sweep all creatures. Should Taminoa be made legendary? Should Dark Confidant be legendary? Maybe we should pick some old planeswalkers that seem okay and decide to give them Can Be Your Commander text. And you know what? Chulane came out of the Brawl pre-constructed decks and was way stronger than we would have liked. Let's just demote it to non-legendary. And can we change other card mechanics while we're at it? Suddenly, it's back to the old world of pick and choose judgment calls, where you need to check not your cards, but Oracle text, where you can never be certain if something is okay.
Look, I love Gavin. He has done so much good work for the game. I love him. He is easily one of the best people on the design team at Wizards ever. But his reasoning is very strange. Like, he starts saying that making the Nephilim legendary calls into question every other creature ever. Also, the 5 Nephilim in the game are the only 5 Nephilim to exist. So that's just more of a defense to making them legendary, because there's no other creature in the game that has the Nephilim creature type. It was just a very strange defense on Gavin's part. Something that I felt was like very out of character for him. Making the Nephilim commanders has been a request for a very long time, and yet Wizards says they can't do it because it functionally changes cards, but yet they've done creature type updates that give creatures types they didn't have before, which opens the door for interactions like Plague Engineer and Phyrexians to happen in Modern, being a substantial nerf to Infect as a deck. Oh, and let's not forget werewolves. You remember werewolves, right? How pretty much everyone agrees that they're super clunky and they're a really weird type of creature to play because they all function differently. We literally have 3 different subsets of werewolves that all play differently. It's possible for it to be night, but you can play an original Innistrad werewolf that won't be in its werewolf form, even though it's night on the board state, because that makes sense, right? Commander players en masse said, hey guys, with the new werewolves as a creature type now have 3 different subsets of cards. Day and night is pretty much just the original mechanic of werewolves simplified into a single unifying mechanic. Can you all please make it so that the original werewolves actually function on the same axis as the new day-bound, night-bound werewolves? No. Oh my god. Oh my god. What's even stranger is apparently Mark Rosewater actually pushed for this change to happen. So apparently during Midnight Hunt's set design, they realized that the day and night mechanic was a buff to old werewolves if they got day-bound, night-bound, because the original werewolves cared if any player cast a spell at all, whereas the day and night mechanic only cares if a specific player casts 2 or more spells or no spells. And giving the original werewolves, you know, those unplayable cards, a slight change in how to transform, we just can't do that. It would, the consequences. The world's not ready for werewolves that actually don't have 3 weird subsets of werewolves. Yeah, that's not okay, I guess. You see what I mean? I'm not the only one who can identify a double standard here, right? Like, it's very clearly when WOTC thinks of a rules change that nobody asked for, it's okay. But when the Commander community comes forward and says, en masse, hey, we'd really like it if you made this change, it's not okay. We all see that, right? I really think the errata of Rampaging Baloths sets a bad precedent, and also is just kind of like the final nail in the coffin for confirming or denying if Wizards has some kind of double standard regarding erratas. Like, it's very clear by now that if the community en masse requests an errata that would do nothing but make a creature type or commander as a format more interesting, or give players more choices, or just in general would only affect commander and have no ramifications in any other format, that's bad, goes against our policy, and it's not okay. But if Wizards decides that they want to make vehicles commanders, that's okay. Okay. Sure, I guess. If you are a WOTC employee and you see this video, please acknowledge that there is a clear double standard of some kind happening with you guys' errata decisions, and maybe be a little more open to listening to the community. That'd be nice too. But if you don't, because you think play design knows more than us, I'll be honest, I kind of understand. I get that, because some players actually still think that blue is OP in Commander. Can you believe that? And yeah, I wouldn't want to listen to those players either. A big thank you to all my YouTube members. You all support me in making content and make my life a lot easier by being members. So I do appreciate y'all always. If you decide that you want to become a member today, you can consider paying only $2 a month to get access to a member exclusive Discord server where you can hang in VC and play Commander with me and get access to exclusive YouTube emotes, such as Loot Cheems and Pogliana. I'm also live here sometimes, so do be on the lookout for scheduled streams so you can come and chat and say how wrong I am for my takes. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.